Let's make this clear. Shyness, introversion, and social anxiety are three totally different things. But what exactly is the difference? I'm going to start with a quick rundown of the definitions first, just to make things clear, before we move on to the really good stuff which is on the board over there, so sit tight. First, we have social anxiety. According to the Social Anxiety Institute, social anxiety is the fear of being judged and evaluated negatively by other people, leading to feelings of inadequacy, inferiority, self-consciousness, embarrassment, humiliation, and depression. They go on to say that if a person usually becomes irrationally anxious in social situations, but seems better when they are alone, then social anxiety may be the problem. Next, shyness. Shyness is considered a personality trait, and it has everything to do with how much you talk to people, particularly strangers. It's characterized by a lack of the negative emotions surrounding social anxiety. So in other words, you're quiet, but that doesn't bother you. And you're quiet, and it's not because you're acting out of fear of judgment. You're just quiet because you like to be that way. Last, we have introversion, which is defined as spending time in your inner world of ideas and images, versus extroversion, which is spending time in the outer world of people and things. So essentially, it's where you get your stimulus from the outside world or from in your own brain. These are merely psychological preferences, so everyone does a little bit of both, but the one that you identify yourself as is the one that you're more comfortable doing or the one that you find yourself doing more often. For example, I consider myself an introvert because more of the time I prefer to be by myself. So what does this mean? Well, let's check out the board to find out. Here we go. I'll set up the camera. All right. So here we have basically a visual representation of what I was just talking about. Here you have shyness versus outgoingness, if that's what it's called. You have introversion versus extroversion, and social anxiety versus no social anxiety. The first thing to be made clear about all this is that you aren't one or the other. You're simply somewhere on a spectrum. You could be extremely shy, or a little bit shy, or outgoing. Same thing with introversion, same thing with social anxiety. You could have very severe social anxiety, or maybe just a mild social anxiety, or maybe none at all. So don't think of these as black and white categories, although that's how it's going to sound when I'm referring to them. So whether you're shy or outgoing has everything to do with how much you talk. Introversion versus extroversion has everything to do with where you get your stimulus, either from internal in your head or external from people and things. And then social anxiety is about the thoughts and feelings associated with social interaction. The most common misconception is that people think you're either this or this. They think that you're shy and introverted and you have social anxiety, or you're outgoing and extroverted and you don't have any social anxiety at all. And this may be true. There are people like this and there are people like this, but that's only a small percentage of people. Most people most likely lie somewhere in between. You can actually have any combination of these things. The reason these terms get misused and confused is because it's probably a little more likely that if you have social anxiety, you might stay yourself a little more, not talk to people so much. And if you don't have social anxiety, you are probably a little bit more likely to interact with people and be out in party type situations. You can be an introvert and be shy, so you prefer to be alone and not really talk to people, but not have any social anxiety at all. You could go into social situations and be perfectly fine, but you just prefer to be alone and not talk to people, and that's okay. Or it could be the other way around. Perhaps you're really outgoing, you like talking to people, you like to be in situations where there are a lot of people, but you have severe social anxiety. I actually know someone like this. It's a girl I met who, the first time I met her, she was very social, very outgoing, nice, fun, talkative. And it wasn't until the 5th, 6th, 7th time that I was talking to her that she opened up and said, I actually have severe social anxiety. And I was blown away. I had no idea because she's outgoing, she's always talking to people, and she likes being in situations where she's around people, but there's still that little voice in her head that's afraid of judgment, that's saying, oh, what if they don't like me? What if they're gonna judge me? What if I mess it up? What if it's awkward? And those sort of thoughts are plaguing her mind, but she pushes through anyway and is social. And you don't even have to be both of these or both of these. You can be an outgoing introvert or a shy extrovert. How? Well, a shy extrovert you can think of, I saw this somewhere online, you can think of that as being the person who goes to the party but isn't the life of the party. In other words, you like to be in situations where you're surrounded by other people, but you don't necessarily like to talk to everyone. You just like to be there, you like the environment. And an outgoing introvert might be someone who prefers to be alone, but when you're with other people, you like to talk to them. And that's okay too. I'm not going to run through every single possible combination here right now, but my point here with this is that it's okay to be shy and introverted as long as you don't have social anxiety that's making you be this way. If you're okay with it, go ahead and be quiet, be shy and introverted. Sometimes society makes it seem like being outgoing and extroverted is the way to go, and there's a negative connotation with being quiet. But if you like being quiet, that's okay. So dive in deep and carefully examine your situation. Are you someone who would love to talk to people, you desperately want to, but fear is holding you back? In other words, maybe you're naturally an extrovert or you're naturally outgoing, but you have a lot of social anxiety. Or perhaps are you someone who's more quiet, you don't really like to talk to people, you like to be alone, but you're okay with that. But for some reason, because of societal expectations, you might actually think you have social anxiety because you have this pressure to be more extroverted and more outgoing when that's just not who you are. Because some people I feel like are in that situation. They're okay with being quiet, but other people tell them that it's not okay to be quiet. So there's this dissonance there, and they think that means that they have social anxiety when really they don't. The important thing here is to be aware. So I encourage you to think about where you stand on each of these three spectrums and decide whether or not you're okay with that. So decide whether or not you actually have social anxiety or if it's just something else. Think about whether you're shy or outgoing and why that is. Are you shy because you're afraid of fear of judgment of other people? Or are you just shy because you like it that way? These are really important questions to take into consideration in order to better know yourself and your situation. Because it very well may be that you don't actually have a problem at all, and that it's just society telling you you do. Or maybe you actually do have a problem and you didn't realize it. You just thought you were quiet, but actually you really want to talk to people, but you can't because of your social anxiety. So normally this is the point where I'd tell you to go out there and put this into action, but really there's not much action to be taken here, apart from, as I said, carefully thinking about each of the three categories and how they relate to you. But really my goal with this video is to make this topic a whole lot clearer, because a lot of people think that if you're introverted, you have social anxiety, or if you're shy, you can't be an extrovert, or any combination of things up here. Just remember that shyness or outgoingness is just about how much you talk, particularly with strangers. Introversion versus extroversion has to do with the situations you prefer to be in. Do you prefer to be more alone and be with yourself and in your thoughts? Or do you prefer to be out in social situations or places with more external stimuli? And then social anxiety. What are your thoughts and feelings about social interaction? Do you have a lot of thoughts of fear of judgment of other people? Or do you not really have those thoughts and you're okay with social interaction? So as always, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell so you get notified every time I drop a video every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.